Hello, everybody. My name is Angela Huffman, and I am the creator of Anonymous No More. I'm here today to introduce myself, number one, and tell you a little bit about what Anonymous No More is all about and why it is important to me, and to kind of give you an idea of what to expect moving forward in hopes that you will be able to find value, be able to open up your mind to a new perspective, and learn some deep inner truths of your own. So, um, first of all, and I don't know, let's see, in the history of our history, a lot of people, of the people who write stories or express themselves, so being blocked out. They wanted to be anonymous for whatever reason that they needed to be. And as we learn more and more stuff about history and about women's rights, and with all the women's movements and feminism, now that we're in 2020, we are learning more and more that 9 times out of 10, anonymous was a woman. And anonymous, in its definition, is someone who is unremarkable. They have no identity, no individual remarks or identification of their own. Um, or at least that's what we think of it now. To be anonymous back then was for a woman to actually have a voice, be able to share their stories, to be able to share their truths and their opinions, um, and have a way to express themselves in some form of another, even without identity. So it was very, very important for them, or important for the times, that we did have those women that were anonymous and that took a stand to be able to speak in behalf of their other women or their culture or whatever, because the fear was of persecution. They weren't allowed to. They were considered as property. So today, through my own personal journey and other things that have happened in history that I've learned about, um, but for me to really kind of do some self-discovery and self-exploring, to really determine who I was, at a deep inner level, at an individual authentic level, I did some programs and stuff. And a lot of women, even to this day, still have the fear of being persecuted for their beliefs, for their opinions, and they have a lot of issues with self-esteem and self-confidence, not feeling that they are worthy, um, of a lot of things, worthy enough to have good relationships, worthy enough to have their dreams come true or be a part of their reality, to be seen and to be heard. And that is ultimately why I created Anonymous No More. I'm creating a safe space for women to be able to, number one, discover their deep inner truths about who they are and who they want to become, and know that they are worthy, to give women inspiration and encouragement to reach for the stars and reach for their dreams and goals, that it can be done. Number three is to give a safe space for women to tell their stories without judgment and without the fear of someone standing over them to punish them or persecute them for their thoughts and their feelings. It's a space to be able to open yourself up and be the receptive vessels that we are, to really embrace our emotions, embrace our individuality, embrace our intuition, and become anonymous no more. Because we have evolved, or the times have evolved, and a lot of things are changing. And I feel, in my opinion, that we need to actually take a stand as women, as leaders in the community, and in our homes, to step out of the darkness and into the light, to show our light, to shine as the bright stars that we are, to get out of the fear of being persecuted. We do have to take a stand, and we have to face that fear. And one of the ways that we can face that fear is to actually do that, to take a stand, share our voices, and just face it. Face speaking your truth. So this is why that I have created this group and this channel. So it's a platform for women. And in the series of videos to come in the future, I will be doing interviews with women, talking about real life situations. We're going back, taking journeys back into history of what it was like 172 years ago when the first Women's Convention was put together and held, and how that kind of marked the beginning of the evolution, of the changing. Although we have come a long way since then, slow moving times, we still have a long road ahead of us. And I think that as women, if we come together like they did back then, that still has a lot of power to it. Having the force of women, the force of that energy of people who think the same. Well, not really think the same, because we all have different thoughts and perceptions of things, but we all are ultimately out to are reaching for the same goal, and that is equality. It's a balance, coming into balance for things, and having the right to actually be individual, authentic beings, um, regardless of your whatever your gender is. So that's what basically I wanted to do, and it is statistically proven that women feel safer sharing their opinions, their feelings, and their stories when it is just a group of women, and the power that being in circle with other women is just so comforting and supportive. So in the creation process of Anonymous No More, which there is a Facebook group that I have available, if you are interested in joining. But that's where it started. I created the Facebook, and I just started posting some content to encourage, to get women to talk about things. And it is still fairly new. But in the process of my creation of this group and this format and this foundation, I was watching a show. I'm sure you're all familiar with Grey's Anatomy, but there was a segment which was a really big trigger. It was about a woman who was sexually abused. She was raped. Her husband was out of town on a business trip or something, and she just wanted to actually go and have a good time, go to a bar that was close to home or whatever and have a drink and just relax after a hard day's work. And she didn't think of anything of it, so that's what she did. Well, she got assaulted on her way home. And so she ended up in the hospital, and she didn't want to say what happened to her. She didn't want to show them damage. She had only come in because she had a cut on her head. And so the nurse or the doctor who was attending her, she had a history of physical violence, and she was a part of domestic violence. But she noticed the signs, and she got the lady to trust her and to actually open up and tell her story. And when it came down to it, her injuries were so bad that she actually needed to have surgery to heal some internal bleeding. But she was scared to death to actually leave the exam room that she was in, because every time she saw a man, because there were some men doctors that had come in and out of the room, she would be really petrified and just hold on so tight to the lady doctor's arm. So she said, "I don't want to leave," and she explained that every time she saw a male person, she saw her assailant or her attacker's face, and she didn't want to go there. She wanted them to come and do the surgery in that exam room, which of course they couldn't do. So this one doctor, this woman doctor, she was like, okay, I'll take care of you. And what she did is she got in touch to some of her colleagues. She had one male doctor stand at the doors, all the doors on the opposite side of the hallway to disallow any men coming into the hallway, that they had to take the woman through to get to the elevator to go to the operating room. Then she paged all the women, the nurses, the anesthesiologists, the doctors, all the women in the hospital, and she had them line up on the walls through this hallway. And oh my gosh, it's just bringing so much emotion for me because this is really, really powerful. So all of these women had lined up to support this woman and encourage her to heal herself. So when they brought her out of the exam room, all she had was support from other women who applauded her, who showed her support and an encouragement to move forward and move beyond what she had experienced. That was just really, really overwhelming for me. And if you could imagine, it doesn't have to be something that traumatic for you to have to experience to have a support system. Can you imagine just an everyday occurrence, or having that support of other women, whether it's a good day, a bad day, whether it's something small and trivial and mundane, or something large and dramatic, and not just bad things, but good things, to share with a support group? How much easier life would feel. We would feel that sense of security, which is one of our basic needs, is a sense of security that we have a support system to help pick us up, to help let us lean on them, and know that someone has our back, have cheerleaders rooting us on when things are going really, really good and supporting us. That, all of this is a dream of Anonymous No More for me. It is giving inspiration and encouragement to other women. It is allowing other women a safe space to share their authentic truths about important topics. Um, when we're in social settings, the rule of thumb is don't talk about sex, religion, or politics because it creates chaos. Well, why not? Why can't we talk about sex, religion, and politics? Because I think by sharing individual thoughts and opinions, it helps open everybody's perspectives up. I know me, myself, sometimes I have these little blocks that I create when I'm looking at something. And it's always extremely helpful to kind of think of something new or outside of the box with that particular situation or topic if I had someone to dialogue with, um, to have masterminds with and brainstorm with. It helps open my perception up to see other avenues. And I think if we got to the point where we felt comfortable enough speaking about the mundane topics and then moving on to even deeper subjects, that I think perception would shift. I think consciousness would evolve. Would evolve. Um, if it's meant to be, it's going to be one way or the other, whether it's an easy road or a difficult road. The choice is yours. If you're meant to evolve and shift, you're going to evolve and shift. But this is the aspect of Anonymous No More, is to be that support system, to help sisters, to help other women have a voice. Help other women discover some deep inner truths so they can do some healing in regards to childhood wounds that are so embedded in us that it's an everyday struggle, an everyday journey to overcome them. It's a day-to-day journey. It's about becoming empowered women. It's not about conflict, confrontation. It's not about judgment, and it's not about what's right and wrong. Because to me, um, and my vision for Anonymous No More, it's about tapping into that feminine energy, which is being receptive and being open, compassionate, and loving. And so that's basically my vision. Something I'm extremely passionate about. It's what was one of the first steps on my own personal journey to self-discovery and getting me to where I am today. Um, and it's not a journey that should be taken into lightly, not something that you should just jump right into and think that everything's going to change overnight, because it's not. This is something that requires commitment from ourselves, and it requires a lot of investment in our time and determination to be better than what we were yesterday, to be to bring more balance and equality to all lives, not just the lives of women, is to find something about that you're passionate about and standing up for it and taking action to change that in your own life, which is going to then trickle into the collective of the world. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you today. I wanted to take a moment and introduce myself to you. So in videos coming, I will be doing interviews with other women who are members of the online Facebook community, Anonymous No More. And the first series that I'm going to be working on is actually talking about, number one, the history of women's rights and kind of the personal thoughts and opinions about that. It's not a fact type thing. This is about your own personal opinions. And then kind of opening it up to be organic so that it flows. That's a feminine quality, allowing things to flow like water and emotion and all that good stuff. I am an advocate to allowing spirituality to be in every facet of your life. So, of course, spiritual topics will probably be incorporated into these interviews as well. But so the first round segment is going to be pertaining to women's rights, women's empowerment, and about sharing some aspect of your own stories or their own stories or personal stories about being anonymous. In what ways have you related to being anonymous in your own life? And what things that do they think are preventing women or preventing humanity to becoming more imbalanced with all things in connection to that. And then once that segment and series, so that's kind of like 3 topics layered in the first series of interviews. It's about women's rights, women's empowerment, and about stepping out of that anonymous structure foundation that was built ages ago. And then eventually, after that segment or series, I want to start doing or in between all of this, because I think women should be able to have an opportunity to share themselves no matter what. So from time to time, probably quite frequently, I'll be doing interviews with women so that they can share their thoughts and their opinions. And then I'll be doing interviews with people that have specific skills and experience with topics of self-improvement, self-discovering, healing, that type of thing. So it's going to be a lot of different things of what I envision. Everything's not set in place yet. It's still kind of in the works, but I think this is a very, very powerful opportunity for me to be of service to the female community, and for other women to learn to get something of value from someone else, because we have all experienced different things, but there are some similarities. So you might be able to pick up something from someone else. And I think that is empowering and inspiring in and of itself. Just hearing someone else's story can be extremely moving and transformational for someone, myself included. So anyway, that is the vision of Anonymous No More. And I do hope that you will subscribe to the channel and reach out to become a member of the Facebook community, the virtual community. And if you are local, we will be doing in-person interactions as well. I will be doing also, in regards to Anonymous No More, we'll be doing online meetups. So if you are outside of the local area, which I'm located in Northwest Georgia, in a little town called Talking Rock, and it's kind of expanded into like all the way down into the Kennesaw area and then upwards. So that's kind of what I consider the local community for me. So we'll have some in-person interactions, being able to get together, have coffee, some women's circles. We're going to put together meetups. There's this place here that's local to me, that I am going to be reaching out to see if we can do a release type thing. It's one of those places where you can go and break stuff. It's kind of like releasing a aggression, which I think that is really cool. So if you are local, reach out as well so that you can be put on the list for the invite, so that you can stay up to date as far as the interpersonal connections that we'll be doing as well. Remotely, of course, we have the Facebook group, the community. We'll be doing virtual Zoom meetings. So you definitely want to connect with that if you want to be a part of that and participation. So it's kind of like a virtual circle of women talking about specific topics, maybe doing some journaling, some meditation, some writing prompts, and maybe like mini workshop type series on personal development, spiritual development type things. I think one of the things is extremely important is to actually work with your intuition, because that's a way for you to connect with your higher self, to get a lot of information and support with that. So that's something to look forward to. Yeah, so that's kind of a roundabout way of what's to expect, what's to come, what you can look into as far as going deeper and connecting deeper with this particular group. So my first interview session is going to be with a lady named Kathleen Moore. She is a friend of mine, and I have done some work with her and have connected with her at deeper levels. And I have chosen her to actually help me out with this group. So she will be co-hosting some things as well, but she is my first interviewee. And it ended up being a quite lengthy video and just kind of question and answer type segment, but I think it was very informative, very powerful. And absolutely amazing for her to share her insights on some of the questions that I provided. So I do hope that you enjoy this channel, and I hope you stay tuned. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. There is an email that I have created for this particular project and passion of mine, and it's anonymousnomore2020@gmail.com. You can reach out to me anytime you feel like it, to be a part of the group a little bit more, or for questions or topics that maybe you would like to see in the video, or some questions, questionnaire topics type thing that you would like to hear more about. So please feel free to reach out. And if you know of someone who who would benefit from the value and the content that is going to be provided, for myself and the people who participate, please share the channel and let other people know that we are here and what we're doing. With that said, I thank you all so much, and I'm looking forward to sharing lots and lots of things and meeting lots of empowered women moving forward and journeying more in depth with Anonymous No More.